have you seen Sakaja's CV? Which university did he go to? Then that is good enough to run governor.
Seen another guy who's more of a comedian. He's a singer.
You know, let me tell you.
That man cannot even carry a sentence in a bucket.
Did you listen to the Hot Breakfast this morning? Here's what you missed.
All right, gentlemen, it's the nomination season. I call it silly season because, my goodness, if you pick up a newspaper, it's crazy, man. The things that happen, it's crazy. Gabriel, I mean, party hopping, shocking.
It's happening, but you see, the one thing about nominations, and sometimes I've seen so many politicians saying that we'll do it, we'll be able to do it. Nobody in this country, any party that I know, can claim immunity from the tribulations that come with nominations. They are always a heartache. I mean, it's an issue. It's a major issue. Now, many people I know have want to put their ducks in a row as far as nomination is concerned, or nominations are concerned. But all the time, Jeff, this one I can tell you without fear of a contradiction, we have problems across the board.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody who will get it right.
Mark, you agree?
Well, I agree, but the problems are more fundamental than that. Because number one, primaries work in the United States because you believe in something, right? So you're Biden, you are Bernie Sanders, you're whoever. You will stay in the Democratic Party because you believe the Democrats best represent what you believe in. In Kenya, who believes really in ODM? Who believes really in Jubilee? Who believes even in UDA? So the truth of the matter is, for as long as you don't win your candidature, because it's not the candidature of the party you're seeking, it is your own candidature. So for as long as our philosophy behind our parties is wrong, we will see party hopping. If our philosophy behind our parties is wrong, we will see people are heavily disgruntled when they're beaten at primaries. And for as long as that is the fact and reality, then you're going to see a lot of people exit. Reason number two, if you look at how many people show up at primaries, at party primaries, I am telling you, Nairobi, you'll have 30,000 people voting for the governor, correct? Mm-hmm. Now, how are 30,000 people representative of a primary? It's not a representative sample. If you did an opinion poll with those many people, you would not have a representative sample. So the problem again is that the people in Kilimani, the people who listen to this show,
they won't come out to vote.
They will not come and do the primaries. Yeah. And who comes out to do primaries? Mostly thugs.
Yeah.
And guess who they choose? Thugs. Fellow thugs. You see, and that's why they're also rigged, because it's thugs who are voting for thugs. The guy counting the votes is also a thug. So essentially, party primaries in this country, because they do not have the participation of the people who should be at these primaries, the people who should be funding. Jeff, if you run for office, Nick and the rest of them need to put money together. See, I've excluded myself to support you, right? Yeah. But if I want to put 100 bob to support you, why would I queue in a line to do your primaries?
But you see, Jeff, when you compare by the other primaries in Kenya and the United States, you remember how in the US the grassroots is so strong, and the parties have made sure, like, whether you're looking at the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, they've made sure that the functionalities within the machinery system is actually working. I know Jeff immediately comes out of college, because Jeff has said, or Nick said, you know what, I am going for this seat, I'm going for this, and I'm going for my for the Congress seat. So these people way from the bottom as they come up. The problem we have in our party structures is somebody can come from nowhere, absolutely nowhere, and you have the machinery within that particular party that pushes them across. Now, what Mark has said is actually very true. You will have the people who matter, and I repeat this, the people who matter don't show up for these primaries because they don't even know. So you, at the end of the day, you are given a candidate, the likes of Mike Sonko, I'm sorry to say, this is how they come through the cracks.
Yeah.
If many people came out in 2017, surely somebody like, and I'm sorry probably to use this name, somebody like Miguna went, head to head with somebody like Mike Sonko, and he beat him on the primaries. Or in the primaries. Guess what? Probably Nairobi would have been different.
Well, not with Miguna, bad example.
No, I'm just giving you an example. But look at what we ended up having. Mark's friend. The prison procedure.
By the way,
these are the problems.
By the way, he wants to run for governor of Mombasa, you know that?
I don't think that will happen.
Let me tell you, if Mike Sonko runs for governor in Mombasa, runs, forget about winning, but is cleared to run. I'm telling you, we need an amendment to the constitution and go to chapter 6.
We need to repeal it.
And draw a bouquet of flowers because it has no meaning. For sure. Because surely, what is the definition of being declared inept for leadership in this country? When you have gone through a quasi-judicial process that has proven, all right, that you are incapable of the moral standards required by chapter 6 and chapter 10 of our constitution to be in office. You've been impeached. And then how then do you apply for the same job? Can you imagine if your watchman said, he showed up and he said, this is my CV. Why were you fired at your last job? I helped thugs break in. Would you give that watchman a job? Why do we have lower standards for a cattle dip than we do for counties in this country?
His excuse would be that was another house, but now
but also
let me tell you something. Like today in the paper, because this is a story from yesterday, there's Malindi MP is going through some case where 19 million was misappropriated. The chief magistrate said we are adjourning the case. I think it's called adjourning to after elections to give you time to go and campaign for governorship.
That's a problem right there.
That's the same one who has abandoned.
Right? Yes.
In fact, that's a problem right there. But you see, Nick, I think, Mark, what you are forgetting is that we took the joke too far with Mike Moviso. We took the joke too far. This person was actually convicted ages ago, even before he became MP. We've read about the story. We've read about how the man has a death certificate, for crying out loud.
Which is why we call him the prison prefect.
Yes. So we let that joke come too far, such that now people are making fun of our chapter 6. But if it has to live to the true meaning of what it means in our constitution, we must take it serious. And I agree with you, Mark. I think if he was, God forbid, if he was to run in Mombasa, because granted, if that guy, you have to give it to him. He's a mobilizer. He's a political mobilizer. He's a political animal. If he was to run in Mombasa, you never know. Probably he may end up winning.
He may take it.
Of course. I mean, the guy is a nut, man. The guy can bring people together. I give him that. All right. So we never thought he would be the senator for Nairobi.
I thought he would.
He shocked everybody. Personally, I never thought he would be the governor. I never thought. We were fighting with people there, and I was here with you, Jeff.
And you know what? If they didn't clip his wings, you'd have run for president.
Oh yes.
The truth of the matter is, and I told this to my good friend Martha Karua, who was the first politician to sponsor Mike Sonko, and I said, we've sponsored a breed of politicians in this country that are going to make the jester and the king the same. You see, in the olden times, there used to be a jester and the king. The job of the jester was to be funny and stupid all the time, and the king's job was to rule. Now with Sonko, we made those two jobs the same. So the more you joke, the more you can run for office. If you see how many people who are comedians and comedic lives that are running today for office, all of that is because of Sonko. Babowino is because of Sonko. It's because we normalized that, guess what, you can be dumber than me and then I vote for you. How that makes sense to anybody? How professors lined up?
I was
where the problem is.
I was telling my good brother, I've seen another guy who's more of a comedian. He's a singer. He's not a comedian. He's running to,
Mtoto wa Diana.
Let me tell you. See, Jeff. I told you I grew up in this amazing place called Mathare Valley.
Yes.
We have so many problems. Mathare needs serious people who are able to understand what is ailing those people. Not a guy like that. That man cannot even carry a sentence in a bucket. He's a guy. No, can you imagine the kind of, you need serious legislation.
But Bahati was here on Friday and he said the current MP is taking things for granted and needs someone to shake him up. And Bahati says he grew up in Mathare.
So did I.
But why haven't you taken initiative?
See, the issue is not about me going. The issue is that I know so many people who are actually standing, who understand the issues. And by the way, the current MP, you're right. I mean, he's not taking things for granted, but he has no idea. He didn't grow. He has no idea, literally. But I know so many people given that chance, and I know about 3 or 4, and I hope they make it. Yeah,
but they won't be given the chance, because you also have to agree that mobilization also comes with name recognition, like the way Sonko did, and so Bahati has taken it upon himself.
That's a problem.
But who are the other 3 that you know?
But here's the problem. Wait. Let's pause. In this country, who are our celebrities? Then, as you think, who are our celebrities? Who are our intellectual celebrities? How many people in the list of top 10 Kenyans, to us and to our listeners, do you say this is a thought leader in this country and these are the people we idolize? For as long as our idols are based on Brutus Maximus and based on how weird you can act with, there's this craze of now Real Housewives, sijui
the reality shows,
nani wa Jesus, the rest of us ni wa shaito, all of that nonsense, those guys are the guys who get attention. Those are the guys who our young people are styling their lives after. So then how do you expect for them to elect anyone else based on the fact that all their advice comes from Kapuka? Okay, that's your relationship advice, that's your plan, that's your business acumen, right? So then how do you expect them to shift from Bahati to Gib? Who wants to vote for sense in this country? There's none. And if we don't look at this society and begin to re-engineer it, I'm telling you, be terrified. The reign of stupid is here to stay.
Look, even Waitito standing.
Hey, there you go.
Yes,
there you go.
Even Waitito.
Yao Inc.
No, Waitito. You see, Waitito is another. He's a center of a joke. The problem, the minute you start hearing him saying that it was politics that got him out, all those cases that he has were all on flimsy ground, then and you have people behind him pushing him that you can do it, then you understand what Mark is saying. We have a major problem. Lee Kuan Yew told us that it all starts, in fact, it starts and ends with leadership. The crop of leaders that you put in place determine where your next step is. Ask anybody, what has Waitito done? It's not in matters of anything development. The thing I can remember Waitito doing is giving money to drunkards
and kicking a guy.
Yeah, that's all I can remember. But ask people for deep core policies. Ask even Waitito. There was a day.
Policy is
Exactly. There was a day. The man has no idea how many high schools he has in Kembo.
If you go to Ghana, there's something called the eminent persons panel. So they have people who the country is supposed to look up to, and they form a council that advises the president, regardless of which party you come from.
Yes.
Now you've got John Kufuor, the former president, he's there. You've got Kofi Annan, who passed on, but he was there. You've got former chief justices. We've got eminent people who dominate the conversations of the country. Okay, so if we're going to have an opinion about roads, for example, we do not listen to people who say we can't eat roads, but we listen to people who built roads before, and they tell us what to think. The problem with this country is that literally, the less intelligent your political argument, the more likely you are to succeed in your politics. And this is the problem. Because if Babu Owino can win with Sweetie Mwa and Tibim and Tialala, and Jubilee can win with Wembe Ule, which translated does not affect our economy at all, does not change the education policy, does not affect the health policy, then you understand that the problem with this country is we are an emotional bunch, we are not a rational bunch. And for as long as we act on matters economics, matters policy, based on emotions, then guess what? We're going to have more babuinos.
You know,
he's excellent at it.
Over the weekend, Kileleshwa Ward held one of its kind vetting for MCS press. Do you think that's something we should do for all our leaders and just put it somehow in law? Because now, you know, when you go and talk to the area residents and it sounds like you're not very intelligent, they just cancel
but you see, that's the thing. In the United States, both before the elections and after, when Congress goes on recess, what are they forced to do? They must do two things. Number one, they must go and have a town hall with their people. And normally when wananchi show up and they ask questions, they said there's a water bill and we have lead in our water. What did you do about it? There is a zoning bill. What did you do about it? And that is before elections and after. And they ask you questions. They say we have school zoning. My school zone is horrible. I want it changed. Is this something you're going to push for when you get to office? You say yes. When you come back a year later, they check. The only thing we check in Kenya is whether you have a kitambi and get angry that you've not gotten a kitambi and you're eating money.
Nick, let me tell you something. It's more or less on the same lines that you've said about Kilimani. In Meru, most MCAs are very educated, and people have started bending towards that realization that these guys, most of them, by the way, have master degrees, most of them, and they've come up with almost like a near know your MCA, because they've realized for you to make significant change, an MCA is a position that has a lot of weight. Forget even the MP, because it talks about your locale. How do you want it? How do you want money to go into Mashinani? So that is something great they are doing. The other thing, Jeff, which I think we talked earlier on, is the nomination process. Leaders within these parties can help us in this way. If we are going to do the negotiations that most parties now have taken, negotiate with people who are sound, people who can build great policies, people who understand the economics of our times, people who understand the problems that are ailing Kenyans. You can actually help from the party lines. Say, you know what, this person may actually be able to bring in people but that's not what we need.
Okay, so when UDA says to Sakaja, you go for governorship, tells Bishop Wanjiru, don't go for governorship, we'll support your senatorship. Is that
rather, to be honest, I'd rather Sakaja than a Bishop Margaret. I've got nothing against her.
Well, I have a lot against her, but
but I'd rather that.
You know, the thing is,
that kind of consensus we're talking about? Is that
I don't think consensus per se helps the cause, because you see, the reason why political parties exist, they exist to vet candidates before they go to ESCC and etc. So negotiations are good short-term tactics. They are not long-term solutions for the problems of this country. I do not know how, for example, you would choose a Sakaja over Margaret. What matrix are you using other than tribal calculations in Nairobi? To be honest, you did not sit down and say, what is your track record? You did not sit down and say, what exactly are you offering? Because if the argument was that if Margaret Wanjiru is not worthy to be governor, then she's worthy to be senator. What logic is that? If you think she handled the housing issue in Kibera when a few houses were allocated wrongly to someone with a name similar to hers, the question is, was that right? And if it was not right then, and therefore she cannot be governor, how is she then qualified to be senator? If you are going to make development happen quickly, you have to fire bad leaders quickly.
Yeah.
You have to have a system that ensures if someone does not deliver, they're out as quickly as possible. China, if you are a chief, the equivalent of a chief here in Kenya, you have a performance contract. Part of that performance is how the economy of your little village is going to be. So you are told the GDP of your village is going to move from 100 million to 120 million and you sign. Guess what happens when you don't meet? You get fired. Do you know what we do in Kenya?
Get promoted.
Oh, no. You know what our actual guideline is? Conform or explain.
My major problem is not even the judiciary. My major problem is the offices that are mandated by law to deal with these issues. And that's why I was saying it should be a serious break-off from the executive. The police should be as independent as they come. The DPP's office as independent as they come. The EACC the same, and the judiciary the same. And I'm not saying that they sit somewhere and find a working formula. No, I'm saying if Nick is found to be guilty, vacate office. That is not something that we need to talk about for a long time. That is something that should be passed immediately. In fact, I believe, Nick, it's there. If Nick is found to be culpable, whether we are talking about a small fraction of the amount that was supposed to be there, whether he can explain something that has happened under his office, the first thing you do is you get out. That law is there. Question is, why are we not following it? And Jeff, the truth be given, we have very good lawyers. We are amazing lawyers. We have an amazing judiciary. You are given, again, this is the constitution that we have, Mark. There's nothing we can do about it. The constitution that we have allows Mark and myself and you, gentlemen, to be able to manipulate our legal system. So somebody who has some kidogo money will meander around. The question is, do we have that fortitude of standing standing upright and saying, it does not matter how much money you give me. Forget what we were reading that Kidero are giving somebody 2 billion, or was it 2 billion? I can't remember. For gas station. If somebody is morally upright, you're able to refuse. A judge is able to stare at you face to face, eyeball to eyeball, and they look and tell you, my friend, unaenda committee. That is what we need. We need men and women who can stand upright.
You know, the talk of a running mate.
Yes.
Look at this. I mean, look at what's going on. Wiper Party insisting it must be Kalonzo or no one else.
Yes.
And then Chap came the other day and said, no, it's going to be us. I mean, the madness that goes on.
Yes.
I mean, people from outside must look at us and say, these people are crazy.
Yes, we are. Because our political efforts are not based on trying to achieve a goal. Okay? This is how I mean it. If, for example, today we are going to play a game of football, right? I'm telling you, straight up, I can only be a coach because I can't kick straight. But I'll tell you, Gabe is our striker because I've seen him play football. You know, I have seen his skill set. But if it came to basketball, then we have to go with Nick, right? Just because he's tall enough to stand there and dunk the ball. You understand?
Yes.
You whenever you've got a goal in mind, you look at the people you have playing the game and you say, you know what, so and so is going to fit position this XYZ, right? Now let me tell you something. I think the only time I've ever seen Kalonzo Musyoka shine in his life is when he goes to greet dignitaries, smile at them, and do diplomacy. I think, to be honest with you, if there was a job I would trust Kalonzo with, it is not even a governor of a county. I don't think he has the character to do it. I think he makes an excellent diplomat. He knows how to walk a line where he's not saying yes or no. It's his nature.
Are you saying watermelon to me?
I am saying that is his nature. He's a fence sitter. And who do you need as a fence sitter? A diplomat, because diplomats are not supposed to make decisions. They wait for decisions from HQ. So tell me he's going to be Minister of Foreign Affairs, I am comfortable. But you cannot then say, because I have 2 million people voting for me, then I deserve to be in a certain position. And that is the kasumba of our politics in this country. We've got numberism and tribalism that affects everything. So my question is, if you're an Ogiek, brilliant person, okay, you've gone to school, you understand economics, and then we choose finance ministers based on how many people are voting for you. Sasa Ogiek wamebaki 20 people. Okay, not 20, but 20 people.
Yes.
So how will that person ever contribute to this country? Then are we also saying that the people who will be presidents and deputy presidents are the top 5 tribes? Because those top 5 tribes include more than 70% of our population, in case you didn't know. So we have 42 tribes, but the 5 do 70%. So for as long as we remain in this one, there is no strong political party that moves across county boundaries. All these things are tribally locked. Secondly, we do not have an appreciation for the intellectual and talent capacity of an individual. We will never get to a point where we've got running mates that matter. I like what they did in Ghana. The running mate for Nana Addo, who's the president today, was an economist. His entire claim to fame is a madam good economist. He had no tribal backing. He had nothing. They knew there's a job that needs to be done, and this is the guy we're going to select to do it. Now you tell me, have you seen Sakaja's CV? Which university did he go to? Then that is good enough to run governor.
You see the issue of running mate.
No, I'm asking one question.
You know Sakaja lives down the road.
You see, this issue of running mate, I think we've put a lot of premium on it, Jeff, that it has stopped making sense. My thought was initially, if I am running for president, I need to have the latitude, or the party needs to give me the latitude to choose the person who will assist me deliver on my core mandate, not really somebody who may help tilt the numbers. Because let me ask you, Kalonzo has been vice president before. What changed? If the people of Sekuru did not have water, I can guarantee you they won't have water. All right, even though now we have the county governments. When you look at Mount Kenya, an amalgamation mark of 30 years in power, you're looking for a second position to do what, so that what can change? Nick, What can change? If you didn't have roads, you won't have them. If your school system was messed up, it will continue getting messed up. And by the way, this time you're not having the number one position. Jeff, if our economy, if our local economies are in tatters, for 30 years we've not been able to do that. What magic will happen by you getting the number two position? Does it make sense? It does not make sense. And that's what I think. I would be happy for if somebody like Raila Odinga was looking for somebody who can help him become a better president. Make Kenya become the nation we've all wanted it to be. If William Ruto is seeking for an individual, a lady, a woman, or a man who will ensure that Kenya has a trajectory heading to the first world, that can be understood. But now we've brought this issue of running mate to mean that it's more of a power sharing than anything. And we have seen what has happened in since 2017 coming downwards. We have been told this position, by the way, somebody can reduce you to be coming to the office to just read newspapers. Same thing with the deputy governor. You know, these issues of somebody who is up there, just because your power sharing did not work right, you have an issue. Look at what Biden was able to get. Biden went took a very humble vice president, and look, they gelled. And that's what we should be looking for. Let the party assist you to get somebody who will be able to support you. Not because of what you're giving them, no. Not because they have numbers behind them, no. Let them support you because you and them are able to click and come up with a solution that Kenyans will be grateful for. Otherwise, this is shenanigans of Indiana numbers kushinda ule, we've already lost it.
You know, there's always complaints like from the fringe parties about how their coalition agreements are being doctored after you signed. Any insight into that?
Let's just be clear, okay? Any politician in this country who expects that the coalition building process is going to be sanitary is delusional. Let's just be clear, number one. Because first and foremost, these coalition agreements assume that all parties are equal. My friend, ni shamba la wanyama. When you go into Azimio, my friend, there are two big dogs. There's Jubilee, there's ODM. Yeah. The rest of you can aspire to be puppies. Okay? When you go to UDA, my friend, there's one big dog. Yeah. He's called William. The rest of you can join a line. Because either you're going to be ducks or
other ducks.
Because once that reality sets in, utacha hii chap haraka. Pun intended. Because and this is the reality of the egoism that affects our politicians when it comes to political reasoning. You cannot hold Wiper and Chap in the same scale. Neither can you hold ODM and Chap in the same scale. The longevity and the power they have. If today ODM was to move out of NASA, we know how many seats they will have. Okay? When Chap does the same thing, we know how many seats they will not have. And this is the key question. So for me, my advice to politicians, stop trying to make an unsanitary process sanitary. Play your role.
We need to relive the Mandela moment, that he can come out of prison and serve for one term when the world was ready to give it to him as a life president of South Africa. He comes and served one time. And what he was telling us, and he continued doing great things and being ambassador of South Africa and so many other things. What he was trying to say is this, that politics should not be a career. Once you have done your best, once you have served your purpose politically, let somebody else who has fresh ideas and who has goodwill for your nation to come in and continue. It does not necessarily make Kalonzo Musyoka, if he does not become a vice president, does not make him any less of what he can go and contribute. It does not make Honorable Raila Odinga anything less if it does not get the coveted seat. Neither does it make William Ruto anything less. They can play part in developing this region better, even if they don't make it to that coveted position.